The Metaverse, Web 3.0, crypto gaming, NFT gaming, and play-to-earn mechanisms, they are the things that are meant to revolutionize 2022. That's the narrative as we head into 2022. And I feel like there's some pitfalls when it comes to play-to-earn and NFT gamings. And there was an article that I read recently, and I thought it would be interesting to bring up the topics that it raised, because there is some validity into why NFT gaming, play-to-earn gaming suck right at this moment. There's going to be some teething issues that we're going to have to go through, but we'll go through them together. So with that said, let's jump into the first article. So in this article by Leon Hard, found in Medium, titled NFT Games Are Bad, he uses the Gods Unchained NFT game as an example to kind of illustrate some of the points he wants to make. And the big first point is decentralization. The selling point for a lot of games in the NFT space is that it's decentralized. It gives players real ownership over the items they purchase or earn in games. It gives you the right to sell an item for real money, use it in Gods Unchained, or even take it into a different game. Basically, how you use it is completely up to you. Best of all, game developers, in this case Gods Unchained, can't change the value or the power of that item to force you to buy the next DLC to remain competitive or nerf you out of existence. Now, he brings up some interesting points straight from that. He blatantly says it's crap. He doesn't believe it. But he interprets this as saying that even though the data within the card, the code within the card, and the text within the card doesn't actually change, what Gods Unchained can do, and I guess other games within the NFT space can do, is change the underlying mechanics to make your card less valuable, to change the mechanics so that even though your card doesn't change, the mechanics around your card does either buff or nerf your card indirectly. And he further goes on to say that since card games and things like splinter cards as well, since card games are notoriously susceptible to power creep, as time goes on, they're going to release new cards. And think of this like Thetan Arena as well, where you have different characters, and as this game evolves, obviously newcomers want to purchase the most powerfulest, most strongest character, and the game development team have an incentive to create new characters that are technically stronger, right? That's the whole idea of power creep. And when that happens, that obviously nerfs your character, nerfs your card, nerfs your whatever it is, your NFT that you've bought. So even though they can't change the underlying code, it's immutable, you've bought this character will always be how it is. Naturally, game development studios has an incentive to create new DLC packs, new character packs, and they want you to buy it. They want to incentivize you to buy it. And how will they do that? Well, power creep. And the other important thing that he kind of mentioned, and I thought was really interesting, is that at the end of the day, the games are still held and still run on centralized servers, right? Now, yeah, you may have a token, but at the end of the day, if Gods Unchained or any other NFT game servers decide to shut down, essentially all you own is a 400 character JSON string because the service is shut down. You technically don't own much. Yeah, you own the token, you own an NFT, but what's an NFT if it's just code and you can't actually use it? So at the end of the day, the games are still held on a centralized servers. Now, another big thing that a lot of these game developers say is that, well, once you buy our NFTs, you'll be able to use it in different metaverses. Maybe you'll be able to port it over Sandbox or Decentraland or whatever plethora of metaverses that will be available out there in 2022. But he's saying that, well, it's not that simple, right? Because there's IP, there's trademark and intellectual property issues that we need to contend with. So while you still technically own the NFT and you can resell them and do whatever you want, well, not do whatever you want, you can't actually port them over to another metaverse. So it's still trademarked, right? And the developers need to give you permission in order to use this in a different metaverse. And you can kind of just read that in the terms of service here for yourself, that it says you must not without prior written consent copy, use in whole or in part any of the intellectual property, reproduce, transmit, blah, blah, blah. So pretty much they're saying without our written prior consent, you cannot actually use, copy or transmit this NFT, our intellectual property, on other games or other networks or other platforms. So if they do get a big marketing contract with Blizzard, then sure, your card may go up, your NFT may go up in value. But if Blizzard decide that it doesn't fit with their gaming structure, well, then your card will likely dive in value. That's his argument. So again, despite what they tell you, the ownership still lies with them. They own the servers, they own the intellectual property, they own the proprietary code. They decide on which parts of the metaverse you'll be able to use your property. So these are the teething issues. These are some of the points that we need to be aware of when we make that argument that NFT gaming and play to earn mechanisms will be the revolution of the gaming space in 2022. And he makes this really interesting kind of statement here. The only meaningful difference between microtransactions of a proprietary game being stored on a decentralized database or them being stored on a centralized database is that when hackers steal your assets and they are stored on a decentralized database, you will never get them back, right? That's really interesting because on centralized databases, then the game studio owns all the code. They have, they can pretty much just give you back your character, right? But when it's an NFT and it gets hacked, well, then you've lost your card. You're not going to get them back. You're responsible for that, right? Web 3.0, it's your wallet. If you get hacked, then that's it. You're not going to get it back. Whereas centralized games held on centralized servers, you will get your items back. Now, another thing he says that having card quantities, remember he's just talking about Gods Unchained here, having card quantities be limited among all players could be interesting and mix up the dynamic. But if those cards are only available through a marketplace like OpenSea bought with real money, then that isn't fun. And I agree, because then it essentially becomes a pay to win kind of game. And what's the purpose of a pay to win kind of game when it's meant to be play to earn, and all these confusing mechanisms in place? And I've thought about that a lot when it comes to Axie Infinity, because you buy your Axie and the most valued Axie, most powerful Axie goes up in ridiculous amounts of money, and only those that can afford to buy that Axie and breed the most powerful, best traits Axies will eventually win the game. And this final thing that he said that I thought really encapsulate the whole idea of gaming is that if you need to promise people that they can earn a living by playing your game to get them to actually play your game, then it's a bad game, right? People play games for escape, for enjoyment, for entertainment. Not a lot of people have the idea that I want to play to earn. That idea comes from a gambling mentality, playing the machines, the slot machines mentality. Right? So if you have to convince people to play this fun little battle arena game or this MOBA or whatever it is, well, it's not a good game. You need to make it compelling enough that people would want to play it naturally without you having to tell them, hey, there's an opportunity for you to earn X amount of money. Now, to cap it all off, let's take a look at some dev studios and see what they're doing. Now, Sega received a business investment of 1 billion yen, so approximately $865 million. And they did mention that they're going to invest in new fields such as NFTs. And there was a bit of a backlash behind this because established gamers, right, they don't like the idea of NFTs. Microtransactions they already don't like, but the idea of buying something on the market and being able to resell for real money, it's cheesy, it's cringy, and it goes against the whole idea of just having fun to play, right? So Sega president and group CEO Haruki Satomi did indeed note the negative reactions of NFTs. We need to carefully assess many things such as how we can mitigate the negative elements, how much we can introduce this within the Japanese regulation. And remember, there's going to have regulations all over the world as well. What will be accepted and what will not by the users. Then we'll consider this further if this leads to our mission of constantly creating forever captivating. But if it is perceived as a simple money-making scheme, then I would likely not proceed. So there you go. Sega has thought about it, but with the backlash, there's some hesitancy there, and they're going to explore the NFT games within their Sega platform. Square Enix, again, also thinking about potentially introducing NFTs and a crypto-based economy within their games as well. President Yasuki Matsuda says that he does not explicitly say that Square Enix will put NFTs in any specific games. He does say that the company is keeping a close eye on the technology and will ramp up our efforts to develop a business accordingly with an eye to potentially issuing our tokens in the future. Now, again, He understands trends. Obviously, they're in the tech space, and they want to capitalize on this, right? At the end of the day, they're a company and they want to earn a profit. Now, he also understands that a lot of people play to have fun, and they're loudly voicing their voice. And I think they are the established gaming population. I feel like a lot of people that have gotten into play to earn or NFT gaming, they're like the new crypto people that they're like crypto investors and crypto traders that see this as an opportunity to make money, but are not purely in it for the enjoyment of the game. Now, 2022 is also the 35th anniversary for Castlevania. Now, Konami has decided to release 14 Castlevania images consisting of game scenes, music, and some new visual drawings from the series. A lot of people have met this with disappointment, disapproval, and the irony is, like, they have pretty much, these are the images, these are the NFTs that they're selling, and they've slapped this sample watermark over them, which is ironic because, you can right click, copy image, save image, and yeah, that's the whole argument of NFT. Why would I buy it if I could just right click and save it, right? But we already know. If you're watching this video and you appreciate NFTs, you already know the answer to that. But the irony is they still slap the watermark over it. Here, I just jumped on their OpenSea. They've listed 14 items so far. I think they're auctioning over a couple of days. But yeah, you can buy this Holy Waterverse Dracula box, whatever it is, rotating box with music, I assume. It's getting some offers. Highest being $532. So there's always people interested in this NFTs because they're speculative and people are hoping to turn a profit. So there you go. These are some of the things that I think need to be figured out as we move into the NFT gaming space in 2022. The biggest one I feel is that they can change the game mechanics and pretty much make your item obsolete. And maybe in very indirect ways, right? Like people that have bought land in Peter Molyneux's game Legacy, like they've bought under speculation that certain things will happen, like the game will have certain dynamics that will allow them to do A, B, C, and D. But when the game comes out and it doesn't allow you to do that, you've just spent real money speculating on virtual plot of lands that don't meet what you thought the ideas that you had in your head. And I think that's kind of like a dangerous precedent to set. People aping into this stuff, not knowing what they're actually getting, and even then, once they know what they're getting, down the line as this game evolves with patches and updates, what's going to happen to your plot of land? Is it going to get nerfed? Is it going to get buffed? So I think that's one of the biggest things that I worry about with play to earn games. So with that said, sorry for the long video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.